Welcome to the Faded Spade Podcast with your hosts, Tom Wheaton and Sean McCormick.
Welcome back to the Faded Spade Podcast. My name is Tom Wheaton, founder and CEO of Faded Spade. We have our illustrious co-host, the poker boss, Sean McCormick. And as we just talked about, our next guest, I have learned, is as much a businessman as a poker player. He has built his personal brand from scratch as a popular poker streamer, a podcast host, party poker team online pro, and even social media influencer. On top of all that, he's got a robust business affiliation and investment portfolio that we're going to hear all about. And on top of that, how about over $5 million of recorded poker tournament earnings? Ladies and gents, please join me in welcoming Jeff Gross to the Faded Spade Podcast. What's up, brother?
Not much, just staying alive. That's the thing, trying to fade these times. It's wild stuff, as you guys are aware and know, and affects everyone. So it's, just kind of going with each day, new day.
Trying to fade this shit is a good way to put it. We're doing the same thing. I know we're all social distancing from different locations, obviously, but it is tough times. And I think the more we can do this type of thing and put out content out there to entertain and communicate and inform people about the things they're passionate about.
Yeah.
I mean, people need things to do, right? So that's cool that you took some time to join us today, my man.
Yeah, no worries.
So when we had Helmuth on the podcast, and quick promo, you can find the Faded Spade podcast at youtube.com, Faded Spade. But when we had Helmuth on the podcast to share his business journey, kind of behind the poker stuff, one thing that rang loud and clear was that you guys work together on a lot of business things. So hopefully we can get a chance to talk about that, because I think there's some cool stories there. But before all that stuff, man, so for people listening or watching, what's your background, man? What are your roots, and how did you get into this crazy poker world?
Yeah, I've been in poker a long time. Was born and raised in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I played soccer growing up and actually had a team camp for our high school. One of my friends brought some cards, and this was like around the Moneymaker era, where it was just kind of get on ESPN. No one really knew what they were doing, but we were playing 25-cent games, 25 cent, 50 cent, or $5 tournaments just with the guys like in high school. And I kind of had a knack for it. I always like games, play a lot of board games, video games. So I think I took a pretty quick understanding of it without even knowing position or bet size or anything, right? Just like literally just playing and just sort of understanding basic principles. And then from there, I put some money on party poker, $50 deposits. It was 2003, 2004. I wasn't even 18, but you could do send to a friend, player to player transfers. And then there was so I started playing on there. I mean, I did a couple $50 deposits, was playing home games all of a sudden at my house, had people over all the time. We were going to games. One of my best friends, Chris Iannuzzi, his brother was in Michigan. I've lived in Ann Arbor, so we would go play with them sometimes, hop in, and they were playing a little bigger, but still small. Just kind of hitting local games. And it was fun. It was busy times. And then when I went to university, I got on to some affiliate programs. So actually it was Party Poker, and now that's what I'm sponsored by now, which is cool. But this is where I really built my role. And speaking of business type stuff, I got into affiliates early. So they had all these crazy deposit bonuses. You send 50 to if you sign up a friend, I forget, it was either you get 50 and they get 25 once they hit a certain amount, play 125 raked hands. And then they would give these crazy bonuses. So they'd be like, well, if you sign up 20 guys this month, 10 more than you did the month before, they give you like a 2,000 bonus plus what you're getting. So I was a freshman in college. I played soccer at University of South Carolina, didn't have a job, just playing soccer and going to school. And it was great because I could play online. And then I was just signing up everyone in the dorms. I would literally go sign up a person, send them 50. I'd play, get the hands, show them how to do it, get them through the hands. And then they would have their account. I get my 50, they get their bonus and whatever. And that was like how it became like me basically just doing affiliate stuff my freshman year. And that's like really how I kind of built my role. And it was crazy. Like I was signing up like 30, 40, 50 accounts.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It's
wheeling and dealing, setting the stage for the future business work, man.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was exciting times, and it was like really the early stages of poker. And, I was just really into it, and it was just kind of worked out.
I love that, man. Sean, do you remember, I don't know about you, but I remember 2002, 2003, and just, God, the majority of my free time was spent online poker. Jeff's running around college, hustling, signing up 30, 40 people. I never did that, but did you do kind of the same thing, Sean?
Oh my God. I was, I went through a few laptops before I really learned how to play poker. The old days were so great. Paradise Poker was, I think, my first trip into the online realm. And then when I found Party Poker, it was over, game over. I was locked and loaded. I definitely missed those days. And honestly, we're all talking about social distancing and everything. How great would it be to have online poker right now to just incentivize people to stay in their homes? Yeah. I'm in one of the businesses that's hurt the most, obviously, the casino business. We are shut down completely, and it'd be nice to have another option right now. But,
how does that work with paying and stuff? Like, is ever like in terms of, because businesses get hurt and, you're worried about people getting laid off in these different type of in all areas and depending on the jobs. But so I met Aria is obviously, one of the staple places and high end and stuff. But how does that work for people that are just off it? The company just eats it, like they have to pay, they can't not pay people, or do they give you, how does that work? If you don't mind me asking, just in general or in that industry.
No, I understand it. And I can't go into the super technical, but the stuff that's public is, I think the company's done very well in line with, MGM Resorts is the parent company for Aria, and I think they've done a very great job of taking care of their own. They paid everybody an additional 2 weeks of pay, put everybody in layoff status, which isn't, everybody, oh my God, they got laid off. No, they put them in layoff status so that they can file unemployment immediately. So they get some type of fund. So they gave them 2 weeks, and then all of our full-time and don't quote me on this one, I believe our part-timers are covered with MGM insurance through June 30th. Wow. So everybody could still go to the doctor and stuff like that. It wasn't, I've heard of companies just being like, sorry, there's no more business right away, or just paying them out. Like my company paid everybody out their PTO, all accrued time. They gave them 2 weeks of additional pay for nothing, literally, nothing, myself included. And I'm covered, through the 30th of June with insurance. And hopefully we'll have an answer well before that. If not, we have much bigger problems than we thought.
Yeah.
But the only thing I'm really worried about outside of course, my immediate family is my staff. A lot of these guys work day to day, week to week. They earn tips from guys like you every day that play. And, that was cut off. It wasn't like everybody had 6 months notice to prepare for this. We were well underprepared, but of no fault of anybody's, because it's just, when has this happened like this on this type of scale? So we're all watching, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I watched the movie Contagion yesterday because I'd seen it a long time ago, but just kind of seeing that how it happened and where it was. And they hit the casino. It was sort of random how it went, but just sort of looking at that and understanding and thinking about it too. It really is like the casinos are not the place you want to be in a closed space and
sure.
People touching and all that, the germs and the chips and all the different things. But it's scary times, and hopefully the reality is the country has to get back working. So I think they're going to either accept that everyone's going to get it and like the herd mentality and it'll be kind of immune, or just, that we're gonna have to go back. I don't think that the country can't really just be shut off for 3 months really. So I think they're either I'm kind of been locked in my own world with streaming and doing other stuff, and I'm not following it super close. And I just, from what I see, look, obviously it's very serious and you don't want people to get it, and it affects older people and sick people more. But yeah, it's like at some point, I think that it's a big decision, right? Trump and they have to make a choice and say, are we going to go into lockdown and shut it down for a long period? Or are we just going to try to get through this? And I think that every day there's more information, more statistics, more understanding, but it seems a bit unclear what the best call to action is. Cause it's tough, right? You just can't, you also don't want to just slam the economy into a super recession because the supply chains, I think people don't really think about it too. It's everything's affected, and different people, different industries aren't going to understand it as much. And in poker, I think we're kind of spoiled, right? A lot of the poker players and people play poker for a living, and it sucks, but you can still play online. There's some options or apps and different things. But a lot of people, if you said you're living paycheck to paycheck and you can't work, and then there's no food and the stuff gets overwhelmed, the hospitals go overwhelmed, and it just things just kind of snowball into a bit of chaos, and that's what you want to avoid. And they got the National Guard ready and all these other things, and it's it's a bit complicated. It's not like a simple answer. It's big decisions, lives are at stake, and it's a bit unclear, right? This is something that we haven't really dealt with before, and showing the world wasn't really prepared for this.
Yeah, and we're recording this on March 24th, right? And it won't release until maybe the first week of April. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens between that time, right now, and when we release. And it's cool to hear what MGM is doing. MGM will have my business when live poker is back. And if I could play online right now from Florida, Party Poker would have my business. But hey, while we're all at home doing what we can with our kids and our families, at least you're out there entertaining Jeff Gross, live streaming your poker and giving people a chance to kind of escape and not just learn how to play from someone that has the accomplishments you have, but also you're very entertaining while you do it. So when you graduated college, what was your major? And then what was your path after that? Did you decide, let's just roll with poker? Or did you try getting in the working world?
Yeah. So I was marketing management, entrepreneurship. That was what I was into in school. I was just kind of already immersed in poker. I was already traveling, going on weekends, playing like Atlantic City, doing some different, there were some games in Charleston, was playing some cash games, driving up there. But when I graduated, so I moved right to Baltimore. I actually moved in with Michael Phelps, who, obviously likes poker. He's played some World Series events. We played the 10K tag team with us and a couple other guys. And I actually moved directly, right when I graduated. He actually flew down and we drove back to Baltimore, took my stuff there, and I moved right in. And I was just kind of playing poker. So I lived with him for 7 years and was playing cards and traveling. And back then you could play online. From 2000, let's say it was 2008 to 2011, Black Friday, everything was just kind of I was just playing online, living there, and then after that happened, I started to travel more. And that was one of those things that was I think a good example is not what happens, how you react to what happens, where it looked like, oh, it's the end of the world. Black Friday happened. Now I can't just sit and play in the US online. But, I had been out of college. I had played sports my whole life. All of a sudden I was just drinking beer, playing poker online, eating unhealthy, Chinese food, beer, up all night, wake up, play cards. That was sort of my routine. And that was sort of a jolt once that all right, now I got to start playing live, got to travel. And it really turned into be a blessing. And I think it's something similar where different scale, different perspective, right? So obviously this is world impact and different things, but I think these type of things can oftentimes create a jolt for the better and sort of a, maybe a protocol or just sort of a shake and get people out of the autopilot and think about, maybe there's some other stuff that sets us up for later if there's an issue that we're more prepared for. And also maybe some people that were just sort of that never got to get a break are now forced into a break, get to spend some extra time with loved ones or be at home or get to learn something new or do a language or something they didn't get to do. So, there are some positives I think that could come from this, assuming that things get back on track and not everything's completely derailed. And obviously the economy's taken a massive hit and the stock markets and, whatever. You could just go down the list of things that are immediately not good, but I think there is some real good that can come out of it.
I love that. And I was just talking to my wife about this, and I know you're a new dad, right? And I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and we were talking and I'm like, what can we control? We can control our mindset. We can control whether we look at this as okay, yes, we can't control everything happening all around us, but we can control what happens in this house. We can control our mindset. We can look at the positive side of this. I think that's such an important message to share because it's you can look at it we're all stuck at home, if you're responsible, right, from a social distancing standpoint. But it's you can also look at it we've got this beautiful home to be stuck in, and there's a pool that the kids can play in, and we're able to see our kids more during the day and help them with school. Right. And it's I love what you said because so much of it is mindset and how do you turn a negative into a positive, at least with what you can control.
Yeah. And of course it's always going to be different for everyone in different situations. And it's like I said, being comfortable, you got nice places, have some stuff to do. And we all, us three, I know for obviously it's a little different. Let's say you got 2 kids, you live at home. It's a really clustered, you don't have food, stuff runs out, groceries are out. It can become chaotic. It's not just oh, it's great. But in a lot of cases, I think you can make the best of it and do take the positives. And, assuming on your situation, you can really take some time to spend extra time with family members or catch up on things. And, again, hopefully this isn't months long and just kind of a pause in time and then get back to normal.
Right. Yeah. All right. So you mentioned, when Black Friday happened, so it sounded like you were predominantly playing online up until that point. How did your life and approach to poker or business change when that happened?
Yeah, I think it was sort of a shock. It was just kind of like, all right, like I was actually in New York at a friend's house when it happened, woke up and the accounts were, it was like, the seized by the DOJ and all this crazy stuff. And it was just like, whoa, what's going to happen? This is wild. And everyone was a bit unsure. And then, kind of, it made me sort of question what I was doing, what's going on, and realizing that I didn't have as many things, sort of residual incomes or set stuff that I wanted to be doing. Now, granted, it was still at a time, 2011, I was, I was like 23 or 4 or something, and still at a point, I think that's kind of a period of time where you're exploring, trying new things. It's kind of time to relax and enjoy in life. You're out of college. But it definitely sort of fast tracked, I think, me to get a little more motivated, a little more serious about what was going on, take a more of a forecast outlook and sort of kick myself into gear. So it was, it ended up being a positive. And I think that was definitely a moment in time where it was, had that not happened, it's interesting to think, and I don't even know, right? Maybe it might have been a net, most likely a net negative overall. Let's say it just never changed. It probably would have changed. At the same time, though, Twitch and these things started. I think actually I signed with Ultimate Poker for the summer. They did remember they had the deal. Jason Somerville, I remember he was running around doing his YouTube and Twitch. He had gotten to Twitch a bit. It would have been cool. Imagine being able to start streaming on Twitch from there, from somewhere where I could have just been doing that. That's like what's the tipping point of the book with Gladwell and these things, right place, right time. Bill Gates had access to a computer and where he lived and what's going on. It's just kind of even now with streaming on Twitch, I love it. It's great. But I was thinking of this 5 years ago, 7 years ago, before I was, at the time I got engaged, I had met my wife then. Now we have a child. It's different, right? It's I'm not in that complete, just nothing else matters. I can do whatever I want. There's still it's different. The timing is different and there's other responsibilities and whatnot. But, it would have been cool. I wish when I was really playing online like that back in 2008, 9, 10, 11, heavily, I guess even before in college, it would have been awesome to have Twitch. That would have been pretty cool to be able to stream tournaments and get that started earlier. But, again, it is what it is. Timing is everything. And, not everything's always exactly perfect. So
100%, man. So when did you start? Because I'm thinking about the gap between 04 and 011, right? And I know you were playing a lot of online poker then. Were you getting into any kind of business or affiliate or investment type situations at that time, or were you just focusing on poker?
I had some stock stuff. My dad, had me set up. I got Microsoft, did some investments with that early on. It's not really business, just sort of a stock things. I was even in high school, got involved a little the market, but no, not really investment stuff. I'm more about traffic and affiliate stuff. I was still doing affiliate things and understanding how that worked, and I had some revenue streams coming from that. But no investments really. And honestly, I didn't have that much. It wasn't I was playing decent sized tournaments. I had some staking stuff. But it's not I had, I didn't have money to be tossing around into projects or really even know what I was getting into. It was really 2012 was my breakout kind of year where I had some big scores. I had a, big score in Montreal, a 300K score at Playground Poker. And then I actually went to this program called Choice, which you guys may have heard of or not, being in Vegas, or heard some of this talk. There was popular for a while where Negrani was talking about, Antonio was talking about. Sean, are you familiar with that?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So that was actually a turning point in my life because Antonio, it was actually 2012. He went to it early on. And then we were on a snowmobile trip. We did an annual winter trip with the guys. And he had this kind of weird vibe, talking about this program he was doing. And then there was these calls. We had pull over on the side of the road before we lost service, and he did this stuff. And then, he said it really impacted his life. And then he basically said, I'll pay for you, just I think you should go. And if you don't, it's not one of the best things of your life, then either I ended up paying for it, but he put it in. He said, if you didn't love it, I'll pay for it. I was like, all right, whatever, sure, I'll try it. Personal development, I'll check it out. It's sort of weird what's going on, but I'll go there. So I ended up going there. And Bill Perkins also went via Antonio, who did the same thing to him. He said, look, you're going to love this. You really want to do this, whatever. So that's where I met Bill. Bill and I hit it off, became super, super close. And then all of a sudden, Antonio won the one drop, like right when he finished basically. And he attributed a lot of that to that. Like he won the 18 million. It was that summer when he graduated. Then I had just gone and I was like going to it. And then I ended up having my biggest score of my life right after. And then Bill and I were super close. And I started going to Houston twice a week and was playing a cash game. So I was going from playing like, you know, not that big of games, like online tournaments. And I mean, I'm trying to even think. I guess at that time I had played some, like Mike and I were playing some home games that were, you know, 25-50, 10-25 type games. And all of a sudden I was playing like 200, 400 in a soft game. And so like, it was just crazy. Like all of a sudden I was like playing these high stakes, started playing 100K buy-in tournaments, you know, played the Premier League, got second, had it was just kind of like a wild, the Alpha 8s were going on. I played the first Alpha 8 and got third, the first ever one. And just kind of like things just escalated quickly. And those were some like big turning points. So Black Friday, you know, going to Choice, getting connected and becoming close with Bill. And then after, you know, not too long after that, then I met my wife at Burning Man. And that's like when stuff really changed, because I actually bought a place at Panorama in Vegas. You know, Phil Locke has a place, Brian Rast, Antonio, so many of the poker guys have a place there. And I always wanted one. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to get one. There was a short sale. It took like a year between like closing and not. I was still living with Mike in Baltimore, but I wanted my own place and I wanted to be in Vegas more. And then all of a sudden the place was set to close in 2015, like February. And I met my now wife at Burning Man in August. And then all the more reason, right? I kind of needed my own place. Like I'm like living with Mike. I'm like, you know, gonna have it. So I ended up getting this place, but it was like going to be a bachelor pad, right? Vegas, got the view. Like this was like, you know, whatever. And then instantly from like, I was single for like 8 years, just going amok, going crazy, running around, partying, having fun. And then all of a sudden it was just like overnight I was locked down into a committed relationship, got my place. And then in Vegas, my wife she didn't like Vegas. It's dry. She doesn't like, you know, she likes it, but not to live. She liked going, but it was like, she's like, I don't want to live here full time if we're gonna have kids. I was like, all right. So like basically never really used the place. And I like did it up. I had it, you know, designed and full deal. And then I ended up just renting it out. So that was like the next big moment where I just kind of like went from traveling twice a week to Houston, traveling over the world playing cards, to sort of less. And that's when I actually had to make a decision about Twitch. Sorry, I'm rambling.
No, keep going.
That was basically when I had to decide, you know, I can't go to Houston twice a week. Bill actually moved to St. Thomas. The game was a little slow. I mean, it was the craziest game ever. And then it became like sort of smaller. And then it was like, do I want to go there and play? Am I going to really fly twice a week or once a week into Houston? And then I saw this thing, Twitch. And I was like, I like talking. As you can see, I can talk and do it forever. And I was like, this is kind of cool. I knew Jason had done it some. I watched Jamie Staples, Kevin Martin, a couple guys. I found an editor, a guy who designed the overlays. He did like over 200 of the graphic overlays for Twitch. And like I saw his contact info. I messaged him and was like, hey, you know, I'm thinking about doing this. I kind of got it built. I came up with the name, The Poker Flow Show, and like got a design. I was like, I want a surfer and like, you know, energy flow, blah, blah, blah. And then I didn't really do much with it, just kind of had it. And then I started trying it. And then it was of course, it was a bit of an issue, right? Because this was like when you couldn't stream from the US on these sites. So I was like, what am I going to really stream? And it was sort of confusing. And then I was like, you know what? I have my stuff already set up out of the country. Like I could do some of it. I travel a lot. And then all of a sudden I started starting streaming on Twitch whenever I was traveling. And I mean, I'll tell you, if you guys want to laugh, if you could see, I also can't tell you how many pros, like I can name names, and not to take any credit away from it. People will say, hey, I want to get it set up on Twitch. I have a blueprint. I can send you guys the thing. Here's the equipment you need. Here's for a travel setup. Here's what I'd recommend: microphones, cameras, this and that. People like do it. They look at it and they're like, I don't know. Or they do a couple streams and then they don't stream anymore. Because it is grueling. You start with no followers, no anything. You hit live. You don't know what you're doing. Your overlays suck. Your graphics suck. You have no clue. Your equipment's not, perfect. It's tilting. You got to set up. If you knew how much tilt I went through, I don't tilt, but how many times it's been so insane. You're like taking it out of the bag. You get to a hotel, you get to an Airbnb, you ask them what speed test is it, how's it work, all this and that. They don't even know what you're talking about. They have to then do it. Then they tell you, it's 5. You get there, but it's 5, unstable. I had 30, 40 times where I've gone to places, set up, try to stream, doesn't work, or it's the worst quality. It drops, the frames are bad, the settings are bad. I mean, it's such a process and a headache unless you can do it from your home and you have like the 6 setup, the nice chair, the multiple monitors and whatever. It is a pain in the ass to do on the road. I mean, there were times I honestly, if I could have a reality show, if I had cameras and people follow me around like my wife's small town in Brazil, when I tried to stream from there, I went to like 6 different spots. Her dad, who doesn't speak great English, driving around, going to cities, we're calling people, went to like editors' houses. I'm in like chicken coops, trying to like going to internet cafes, trying to get live, can't get live. In New Zealand, internet doesn't work. I mean, I actually like to pat myself on the back. I don't want to I'm just telling you, it's fucking insane. Like literally no one, I think it's very small percentage of people that could like put up with the tilt and like what you actually have to go through. Because if you don't stream or no Twitch, it's not just like, and also credit to you guys with the podcast and stuff. And you got nice backgrounds too. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Get it up on iTunes, Spotify, get the setup, deal with the stuff. It takes a lot of time to do podcasting, to do streaming. There's before, there's after, there's preparations, there's tweets. You got to have a team, you got to have help, or you have to be extremely disciplined, dedicated, because it's not for everyone. And it's like, it's fun and it's worth it if you like it, but it is a lot of work. So that was like a big decision to sort of dive in. And I looked at my wife and I said, hey, I think this fits my personality. I want to try it. I see Jason. I see Jamie. I see Kevin. These guys doing it. I think there's an opportunity here. It's still in its infancy. And I want to go for it. And that was sort of a decision to make to build that versus going the home game route and just playing. Because listen, playing a great home game is good. But guess what? The games dry up. The games stop. Things happen. You got to be put in a spot to and it's not, there's not really a lot of stability with that. If you just play in a home game, it's kind of like you don't really have, if you're not doing anything else, that can change at any time, right? Like even looking now, it's like, yeah, I mean, like stuff like this, like if you don't have other stuff going on and you're just playing cards, it can be difficult, right? So that's 100%. That's where I'm at.
Hi, my son just walked in here. Anyway, so first of all, the stream struggle is real, is what I'm getting out of that. And people like business. People don't see all the hard work that goes into the output, right? People see you on stream, but what people don't see is all the pain and the hard work of the growth and the getting it going. So kudos to you for keeping it going as long as you have. And so a couple things. First of all, I think everybody listening or watching can feel and hear your passion for this, which is amazing. And I want to go back real quick to what you were talking about with meeting Bill Perkins and Choice and that whole thing. What a networking opportunity that must have been for you, right? To be able to get to know those guys.
Yeah.
Did that success and those kind of relationships lead you into wanting to create your personal brand and wanting you to kind of build something more than just being a poker player, but build that Jeff Gross brand and get into the streaming and that sort of thing?
No, I mean, listen, like going to Choice was just completely random. I had no idea. I never met Bill. I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know he was even going to be there. I didn't know who the other people I met too, great relationships and contacts. But yeah, it turned out to be, just a really good spot. But I think just from, there's obviously, I just had Bill on recently. He's been on my podcast, but we just were talking about the coronavirus. I was in Russia last week. So it was like a week ago. We were there and we did a call, but he made a good point. And he talks about, you die many times in your life, right? Like you have your 5-year-old best friend, childhood. You have your middle school, your high school, you have college, you have your single life, you have and then you have, married. There's different periods, right? Like it's all different, right? You're married, like you're not, things change. Then you have kids, right? It's like you have a girlfriend, you're engaged, you're married, you have kids, and then you hang out with people with kids around you. You realize how hard it is. Like it's a production to get organized with someone who lives near you, even to do something. They have nannies or you have sitters or times and people aren't sleeping. So it's just like you have different parts of your life that die. Or that were different. Like it's just not how it is. You don't really think about it at the time. But that was, I think, Bill's way of how he thinks, how he processes information and makes examples. Really opened up my eyes, getting to see how he was so successful, how his mind worked. Talking about if I eat a piece of pizza, that's an hour on the treadmill. I got to do, like just how he put stuff together made me kind of shift and think about things. So there's no question some of his business type stuff or stuff, kind of rubbed off. Same thing with living with Mike. I mean, again, that period of time, that was the craziest time in the world. I lived with him during basically the peak when he was 2008, the Olympics, 2012 Olympics, 2016 Olympics, and traveling with him, being with him, seeing how he carries himself, taking stuff about how he becomes the best, his work ethic on training and doing all that stuff. So I think I was pretty fortunate to have certain people that are at the top of their industry and fields that I was very close with, and get to sort of see how they maneuver and work, and get to take bits and bobs of information on and see it, not just be told it, but see how they operate and conduct. There's no question that those kind of things, were beneficial, and I got a lot from those guys in particular. I can name a dozen other guys and that have been, especially in poker, I could rattle off a lot of guys, and some of my closest friends like Antonio Esfandiari, Brian Rass, Phil Locke, these type of guys that have done the poker business and not just playing, but doing deals and networking and getting relationships and sponsorships, and Helmut and these guys, you kind of learn a lot, and sort of like things that you don't even think about, you see they're doing, and then you're like, oh wow, I'd like to do that, or I could do that maybe one day if this were set up. So those type of things for sure help, and were very important to sort of get to have access to.
I was going to go back to that too. Like when you said Michael Phelps, I was like, wait a minute. Like the Olympic gold medalist, Michael Phelps. I didn't know that. I didn't know that connection. So yeah, that's amazing. So when you said learning from people who are at the top of their industries through your relationship with Mike and you guys living together, and obviously I would say, Jeff, you are absolutely at the top of your industry, right? What types of behaviors did you witness that led you kind of down that path to want to kind of reach that kind of level in the industry? And what advice would you kind of have for people in any industry that's trying to just be and operate at the top of their game?
Yeah, no, I think you have to do things that others aren't willing to do. I mean, just seeing Mike for how many ever years, never miss a workout, Christmas Eve, New Year's, like just being, there were times we'd be up late. He'd be up at 5 a.m. driving the pool twice a day, working out, just like commitment, work ethic, stuff like that is, it's powerful, right? Because it's like you don't realize, so many people are talented and gifted, but then it's like the people that are talented and gifted that really push it and take it to the next level. You realize it's not just like, they're just going through the motions. He was the best, and that kind of stuff was powerful. And just seeing, how he was able to, how he had a team, he had a publicist, he had an agent, manager, all these different things, and kind of seeing that what it takes to operate. Because when you're at the top of your field, that's another thing. It's like, I think seeing that it takes money to make money, taking some chances, like same thing on Twitch. Like Twitch isn't let me just break it down. If you're thinking about getting in it, Twitch is great. It's fun, but you're not making money on Twitch. Like even the top poker guys, so when you stream a lot, your subscriptions can go up if you're consistent, but even then it's like not super glamorous money. But if you're able to have a product people like, you can get, affiliate deals, sponsorships, you get some potentially other stuff comes with it, but the actual revenue, same thing on YouTube, right? Like I have a good sized YouTube channel. I'm not really making money on YouTube. I'm getting money every month for the videos. It's not a lot. I pay an editor per month. It's like it's a lost leader even, but it gets other things that get promoted, you get other deals, things. So you have to kind of be willing to take money to make money. Also like with assistants and stuff, like seeing Bill, he has a whole team of people and he optimizes. That's his thing. It's like optimizing life, optimizing time. And it's like, if you can do something or might delegate, and this thing I'm learning, and even there's still right now where I'm like, man, I don't want to be doing this. I want to stream. I want to have fun. I want to be with my family. And then I don't want to do all the other stuff. I want to have people that are great at that and editing and clips and social and stuff. Like I don't want to do, social media gets a rabbit hole as well. I find myself on Instagram a lot. It's part of my business. But it's like, I want my clips done. I want my stuff posted. I don't need to be on there 2 hours a day. And just trying to find ways to like get a factory line, like a stream. Okay, now someone go through, watch it, send the clips, and have an editor do it. And this is something that I'm just always constantly working on, trying to better evolve and optimize, and realize that like it might take a little bit of money or time to do something right, and then it can pay a lot of dividends, moving forward. So that's something as well, that kind of learning and understanding that like opportunity cost and what that really means. And that's something that, again, I think I'm learning all the time and just trying to get better and not take on too much. Because a lot of times I just feel overwhelmed, where I just like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And like, as there's more stuff going, there's more opportunities, but then you kind of find yourself where you're doing too much and not, doing enough maybe something great. It's a fine line. Do you want to do one or two things amazing, or do you want to do 20 things pretty good? And that's hard as well, to sort of juggle because I started like, oh, I love podcasting. I love streaming on Twitch. I like doing the vlogs. I want to play live. I play on good cash games on some apps or on, when I play on, so it's just like, you can't do like, that's like, I'm not single. I have a child, I have a family, I have a wife. And it's like, I'm in a fortunate spot where it's like, I always feel like I can do something, but I don't want to be where it's just like doing nothing, like I'm doing so much that I'm doing nothing. That's what I worry about sometimes.
And this is first of all, it's unbelievable advice for people. And this is the journey of, I would say, entrepreneurship too, or even as you're growing in your career, like, you get to a certain point that you can do on your own, and you get there only through like hard work and dedication and rising up out of failure, because you're going to fail a lot. Jeff, I'm sure you failed a ton of times throughout this whole process. And it's like, I think that is something that separates people that have successful businesses or have built a personal brand or influencers. Like, you just got to work your ass off, and you got to keep working your ass off. And then it gets to a point where it's like, okay, I can't do this on my own anymore.
Right.
And it's like, how do you bring in help and how do you delegate? Because then you get in your own way and you can't grow to where you want to grow. And
right.
I feel
it's frustrating too, because then it's like certain things where you can do it, but you could have someone else do it, but like they might not do quite, then it becomes like you have to manage them or micromanage. And like a guy who's, one of my good friends, Jason Kuntz, he, not Kuhn, who's a friend as well, Jason Kuntz. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He owns Otia, the sports memorabilia stuff. He's partnered with Gary Vee and another guy. He had a big score at the Bahamas. He found tabled that 25K for like a 1.4. He's an amateur, but he's a great guy. And he also does really well with this, but Gary Vee and him are partners on something. That guy, if you know Gary Vee, have you seen him on social media?
Gary Vee was a big reason I started Faded Spade.
Oh, wow.
Literally driving back and forth. Now I don't know him, but driving back and forth to my corporate job, listening to Crush It. And finally saying, I've had this idea for so many years, I'm going to put it into action now.
Yeah.
And Gary Vee and his principles are a huge reason why 3.5 years later, we're a real business and have sustainability because of his, I don't want to say teachings, but kind of Gary Vee's.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel. Like, his message is all very repetitive and over, really just crazy. But like, I don't know him personally. I know just Jason and him are very good friends. And obviously Mike Vacanti, also that's his trainer, who did the Staple Brothers bet, and he was like his personal trainer to travel him. But like that kind of mentality and effort too. It's like, he has like 26 people or something working for him. He's like got a factory of content, but it's the same thing. Like Gary, he just wants to talk. He just wants to do what he's doing and have it all get out. He doesn't want to like do it. He can't do that too, but it's like, it's crazy. Right. And that's sort of like, I think that's important too. It's like, you got to just go for it. You got to kind of like do it if you love it. It's the same thing with Twitch, same thing with YouTube. Like, I didn't really know what was going to happen. I just like, what? I think this is cool. I like it. I want to have a journal. I want to have some like recorded stuff to look back on and do it. And then sort of something comes of it. If I end up getting some deals or whatever, or sponsorship, and that stuff will come. It can come. It may come. But it's like, you just got to do it. First of all, if you love it, you want to do it. And then, the other stuff. Like, even now, I've had 52 podcasts. I promise you, and I love numbers and stuff. And it's funny because like I used to, when I would stream on Twitch, I want to go back and see highlights, and I want to watch. Now I don't even know how many I have. I literally promise you, I have zero idea. And I just sent a message to the guy to do everything. And I like, who does all my podcast stuff. And I said, hey, what's my I don't even know my downloads. I have 0.0 clue. I don't know how many downloads I'm getting on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean. I really don't know. I haven't even looked one time, but I see my YouTube. And I see like the views. I'll look and see like how many, like, cause I can just click and look on, but I haven't even looked at the other stuff because my idea is I'm just gonna put my head down. I want to do like 100. I want to see how it is. Do I really love it? And how is it going? And then I'll sort of say, all right, well, this is working. This is good. Or not. And then just sort of like decide if I want to do something differently, but I'm not thinking, oh, can I get sponsorships? Like, am I going to get money from this or whatever? Like, that would be cool and great. And I'll ultimately play into how much I do or what I do of it. But like in the process, it's not like, I don't want to waste time or like really get stressed about how that works. Cause that's the hardest thing is starting, of course, right? It's intimidating. You say, I'm going to do Faded Spade. I might get some guests. Who's going to come on? How's it going to work? Is it going to be watched? Are people going to like it? Is it going to be worth it? And then all of a sudden, like after you just do it and you get 4 or 5, 10, 20, all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, okay. And now you have kind of a library. Now someone comes on and then they watch all of them if they like it. And, that's sort of my mentality. Just sort of go for it and then evaluate later.
Awesome. Awesome advice. And, it's funny, Jeff, like this is like what we're talking about right now. It is truly an example of the purpose of why we started the Faded Spade podcast. Yeah, I started it to get the brand out there and to drive more people to the website, to buy cards, to buy products, etc. But the underlying reason was to share these stories, like your stories, for people who are on the same path. Maybe they're in their career trying to grow. Maybe they're trying to build a business. Maybe they're trying to become a streamer. And I feel like this type of content is extremely helpful to those who are consuming it, right? And we have more viewers and downloads than I would have thought, like when we started 16 episodes ago. But it's not about that.
That's because they want to see me and my pretty face.
That's what it is. It's you. It's just you.
Yeah, it's hard to know then. It's hard to know
what it
is. You guys have multiple.
It's got to be the poker boss. But at the same time,
real quick, I'm gonna bust in here.
Yeah, get in here, man.
I'm gonna take you back to the present. Everything going on right now. Have you been playing online poker? Like recently?
Me?
Yeah, have you been playing lately?
Yeah, a lot.
How have the games been? Have the games gotten better? I would assume a lot of people coming back into it.
I haven't been playing cash. I just stream tournaments, but I mean everything's up. Numbers are up. Definitely new people are there. I mean it seems very, very good. I saw actually the Aria and they're moving the Poker Go the April 12th to 26th. They're doing that high roller series on Party, which is pretty cool. So I'll hopefully stream some of that. I mean, because not a lot of big buy-ins online. Some like 10Ks and stuff would be pretty cool to play like a streamed 10K. I mean, probably gonna be pretty tough fields, and I don't know how many they'll get for that online. It's interesting to think about. It could be really big, actually. I think it's probably bigger than they think because the 10K, 500K guarantee. Like, I'm pretty sure there'll be more than 50 guys. There might be 200 entries that play or something. But I mean, that's going to be interesting to see that kind of merge. And some of the live stuff, are they going to do, WPT doing series on Party and other sites? And numbers are up, no question. People are home. People want to do stuff. People that used to play poker that don't play online, they're looking to get online. It's just, there's not a lot of options, right? And you can't bet sports. You can't watch sports. Like at some point there's not, it's just a natural. Poker's like a really good thing to do it for a pastime.
Yeah, we're going to be I keep seeing ESPN do videos of marble races. So that's what we're going to be betting on here soon.
Oh, God. Oh, don't do it. Didn't you just final table a couple tournaments?
Yeah, I've had a good week. I had 5 final tables in the Power Fest events. So it's pretty good. No wins, but, a couple sick 2-outers on the river. The big one was last week, the 5K on Party. It was like 190 to first. And I got it. I came in 4 of 8. My internet went out. Disconnected, was off for a little bit. One guy busted already, but I came back. And then I ended up getting 7th. So it was a little frustrating because I was like, one of those, I got kings into 9s, river 9, big ICM money stuff. And, but it was exciting and it's been fun. I mean, honestly, I love Twitch, and it's just like it's a great time to do it. I've seen like Marley Cardero started to stream. Some other people started to stream. Joe Cotta was streaming the other night, gave him a host. So it's like, there's people, I think you may actually see an emergence of some streaming. I think you might kind of see some big name players that like were always thinking about it. And now they're kind of like, I'm going to play online anyway. It's tougher nowadays. Maybe I'll just have a stream anyway. It kind of makes sense. Even if you don't do it a lot, just to have the option to go live and do it if you wanted to,
I love it, man. And I love it. And you know what? When you were talking about not knowing how many downloads or viewers, whatever, you know what? Who doesn't really matter as long as the right people are watching and turning. It's like the numbers don't matter as long as it's the right people, right?
And I mean, listen, I love numbers. I'm obsessed with like rankings and stuff, like even GPI or all these things. I keep an eye on all that stuff, and I just in general, I love statistics, and like I kept track of all my stuff and soccer goals, assists, all that stuff. Like it's fun. The point being, I do look on YouTube. I'll see, because I put the videos up on YouTube and I look at that, but I'm not, like the downloads on all the other stuff. Like I don't really know. And I just asked about it. And I'm curious, but I just like more about the point that stuff comes. And if you obsess on every single thing and you spend time on if you have 16 or 50 episodes and now you're looking at every single outlet on every one all the time, it's going to like sidetrack your stuff. And I mean, I can tell, like, and as well as you can, I'm sure it's worth it and it's fun and people are giving good reviews. I know you guys have a well-liked podcast, and, a lot of people, I'll talk to people. I'll be at a live venue. I was over in Russia. I was over in UK in January, and people are like, hey man, I really like your podcast, or I listen on my way to work, or you see the comments and you can tell, even if you spark a person or two, or, get people that are interested in and get some value from it. It's cool, not to mention that you have a library, and it's kind of nice. Like now it's like that's there forever. And I can go back and look back on something and have that. So before
we transition into like the business stuff now, because I really want to hear these stories about the businesses you're involved in, the investments you've been making and stuff like that. Especially, in terms of what kind of Helmuth let us in on during his podcast. Before we get into that, where can people find the Poker Flow Show? And where can people connect with you across social media?
Yeah, it's Jeff Gross Poker pretty much all the way across the board. I have Poker Flow Show as well on Twitter and Instagram, just for like really overwhelming amount of clips and poker content. But Jeff Gross Poker that's just everywhere. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all Jeff Gross Poker. And then I have a Jeff Gross podcast. So I was going to just use my Jeff Gross Poker YouTube channel as the podcast one, but then I wanted to start a separate podcast channel because I didn't want to pigeonhole just poker. In case I like really, maybe who knows, podcasting, I might end up just doing long-term or forever. Poker, who knows? And also I just wanted to like not have it all be poker, even if it's like 10 or 20% elsewhere. I wanted to have that option and just start something from scratch. So that's been developed and it's going pretty good.
Cool. Sean, anything you want to dive into on the Twitch streets or anything before we dive into the whole business part of it?
Man, I am so novice when it comes to Twitch. I'm just a viewer. I'm a fan. I've watched your stuff. I watched a lot of the guys you've mentioned. But yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like a -3 when it comes to Twitch. So
it's a bit overwhelming. You got to have the OBS. If you want to stream and do it, you got to get a lot of. It's not hard. It's just like the first bit is overwhelming, and once you get it, you kind of get going, and you have some help. It's not that bad, but it takes. There's just some like setup, just like anything. If you just like a podcast, it's not just like you turn on your camera. You got to figure out the platforms, the recording. Is it live? Is it this? There's all kinds of little things that some people just aren't built to sort of go through that struggle.
Yeah.
So
I feel that. It was funny when we started doing this, Jeff, we had these visions of doing it like once a week. And then it was like, oh God, once every 2 weeks. And then I was like, oh, probably need to do it once every 3 weeks because it just gets in the way of all the business operational stuff that drives revenue, but it's like, it's tough. So,
you got to coordinate with the guy back and forth. People can be late. You got to get multiple things. And then you got to, it can almost take up the day or half of the day doing like a 1 or 2 hour and then the after work and getting it. So yeah, I know. I mean, I get it. So it is a lot of work.
All right. So your poker accomplishments, folks definitely know about. Your Twitch streaming, you've built your personal brand. You're out there. You're one of the most, I would say, successful influencers in our industry today. Now, you take this and you take all this to account, and now you're getting into business, right? So talk to us about how you made this shift into kind of getting into the business world and partnering with certain companies or making investments in the right companies or starting companies. How did this all take effect for you?
Yeah, I think just partly being, again, like one of the sort of underlying benefits of being building a Twitch or YouTube and these things is there's visibility and you kind of get to connect and network with interesting, like-minded people. So, like a lot of it is just like, for example, Stake Kings. That's one of my big ones. I have a good equity piece in that, and I've been in since 2014. It used to be called Global Poker Link, actually. Yep. But I got involved and reached out on LinkedIn, and they asked me because they knew I'd just started streaming, and they were saying, "Hey, like, I was like between it was pokermarket.com. I was like doing tests with both and posting a bit, and then I was like trying to decide what to do, and then they came and reached out to me, and then that ended up being that's like one of my biggest ones that I'm involved with is Stake Kings, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Stake Kings.
Love the whole concept. So obviously Stake Kings and YouStake just kind of joined together, right?
Yep.
From a technology standpoint.
Yeah, Stake Kings took over, acquired YouStake. That's the one I got, technically Phil and I are involved in because he's involved with YouStake. So that's one of the ones. And it's just a great platform where you get to post action. It serves a lot of purposes. It's great for Twitch as well because, like, if you say I want to buy 1% of you in the Aria 10K, it's fun. I'm going to give you a result. And I'm going to say, hey, I won or lost. But like on Twitch, you buy 1% and I got 20 tournaments going on a Sunday. and you're watching them sweating the ace, king, the queens and the bad beats and the get theirs, watching it in real time. It's really, that was why it was so effective and made so much sense. So that's fun. It's cool. It's great. So now there's U-Stake as well as Stake Kings. It's kind of under one. Stake Kings is for more the established pro, different, and U-Stake's more about anyone can post.
Yeah.
That's how it kind of works now.
Yeah.
So that's one. And that was just kind of, again, being in the space and in the industry, that's like a benefit I'm going to have, and opportunity that, if, let's say a great poker player who's a crusher and people review as one of the best, that they're not going to necessarily get that kind of opportunity or be offered that just because it's, it's great that they can win high rollers and they're GTO and PO wizard, but that doesn't add a ton of value per se for marketing and whatnot, other than, it's good to have good players, but like, it's a different, I think that's also, you see Party Poker, Poker Stars, 888, GG and these other sites, they're looking for people that are posting on content, that are streaming, that are putting YouTube videos. Like, that's where they're going to get a lot of value, versus in the old days, it was, Stars was signing everyone who won a tournament. And back in the heyday of deals, same thing. They were handing out patch money for final tables, and anyone that won a tournament was like, that was where the sponsorships were going. So that's, it's really shifted.
It's amazing. Like, I love what Stake Kings and U-Stake are doing for the entire industry. Like, so I'm on the U-Stake side, right? I've done it a number of times, and Team Faded Spade and customers and fans and whatever have been backers. And it's allowed me to play in 10Ks I otherwise wouldn't could. And fortunate enough to cash and go deep and bring ROI back for these people. And it's an awesome feeling. So if you're watching or listening and you're thinking about, you don't have to be an established pro. If you're thinking about playing in a tournament, maybe that's above your bankroll, or you want to get some engagement from your customers or fans or whoever, check out Stake Kings and U-Stake. This is phenomenal for our industry. And I can't say enough great things. And cool to hear that you're at the ground floor.
Yeah. This is, there's a few guys, and Antonio's as well as a face of it. But I've been since almost day one, and got, that was something that I'm excited about, and having equity and being involved. And it's just fun to see it really grow. And obviously right now, there's not a better time for this kind of stuff. Online is thriving. People are playing, and it's fun. Listen, people like to bet, people like to gamble, and if you're not like a non-named necessarily, but you have a Hendon Mob or you have some results and you put up a profile, and someone's in the US and the Sunday, party millions going on, and someone's selling a 215 buy-in tournament where it's 165K to first, and you want to put up, $2 or $3 to have a piece, like, it's kind of fun, right? Like, all of a sudden you may even get to watch them play it on stream. So it's just, I think it just really, it fits the industry need, and it's just kind of a good thing to have. So
I've always loved buying into a person and watching them play online. That's going back to my whole thing with Twitch. That's pretty much what I use it for, to either watch like poker streams live, or to watch people play online. And it's not something that crosses over to the live realm, of course. Yeah, you can buy a piece of someone in the main event, which we all do, buy a piece of someone in different events, but it doesn't really get exciting until you're at the point where you can hit the refresh button to get chip updates and stuff like that. But it's not live like it is for online poker. And it's really great to have that platform to be able to do that and get people engaged.
Yeah, it's sick. It's just really, really cool. And it's nice to see that's come together. So yeah, it's good. And it's also, like I've said, if you want to post, you can post yourself, and it's it's fun. So yeah, Sean, have you ever posted, Sean? Have you ever put a little action up?
I've bought pieces of people. I've never done anything myself. I've sold pieces of myself, like, to friends,
right?
Just in person, but I've never done my own. I actually had a package set up, and I was going to play the Bellagio 5 Diamond. This was like 2 years ago, and I actually got posted up on U-Stake, and I had to pull it down. I don't remember what it was, but I had a conflict that I couldn't play day 2. So what was the point, obviously? And then in came all the jokes. What does it matter? You're not going to make it to day 2 anyways. Ha, ha, ha. I think Tom gave me one of the, I see him looking down, smirking over there.
That's funny. Yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Gave me one of those comments for sure.
I was looking down. Sorry, I was on mute. I was looking down because I I didn't want to start laughing at the screen because we actually had that conversation. Remember where you're like, I am going to put up for 5 diamond. And I'm like, oh, I'll back you. And I was like, oh man, just like lighting $500 on fire, man. If I throw 5%, I'm just kidding, buddy.
Or he wins it,
Exactly. And he was just giving me crap because, Jeff, when I did this for the first time, it was at the WPT Aria, at the time, Bobby Baldwin Classic. And Sean was one of the first people to text me while I was playing. And he was like, you look like an amateur. Stop counting your damn chips. Let's go. And it was just like, we have that kind of needle. So anyway, moving on from this, definitely check out Stake Kings You Stake. Phenomenal platform. Awesome to know that Jeff is ground floor of the business. So what else, Jeff? What else have you gotten into in terms of business that you like feel pretty proud about or that have a cool story behind it?
Yeah, man, there's a few. Like the one that some of the bigger ones that I like is it's called Felix Roasting Co. It's a coffee place that is in New York City at 30th and Park, and they're opening now. It's been 2 years, and we're opening in LA and another one as well, I believe, in Aspen. But it's like a boutique shop, like really high end coffee, specialty drinks. So that's one that a guy actually I met playing poker in Houston. Ali and then invested with him. So that's just kind of like a fun one. It's really turned out well. It's doing well. And so that's one. And then also this a company was called Travel Smarter. It's called Travelaya. And that's also Helmuth on that one, where it's a subscription travel site that is the guy, the founder of EarthPix, Eric Damier, MySpace Tom. And I don't know if you've ever seen it on Instagram. They have like a 15 million following on Instagram. So they started this and I knew him through chatting and kind of poker and then got involved and invested in that. So those are a couple like the bigger ones. There's some other ones that kind of random stuff, but on my website, I have jeffbrospoker.com/investments and I list the ones that I'm involved in. I actually in an agency as well called Endgame Talent. Scott Ball started that, Helmuth in that as well. So there's a couple others just like, they're like Lasso. It's a sock compression business that it's pretty cool and innovative technology. It's doing really well. And it's fun. I'm kind of at that stage in my life where I'm taking some flyers where I'm putting in this X amount of money. There are kind of some shots, but like I like to be diversified, a little bit of crypto, a little bit of stock market, a little bit of affiliate stuff type business revenue generators, then some equity pieces. And some of these other investments, like I get it. It's sort of like restaurants too. It's like a lot of them aren't going to work, but you hit that 20, 30, 50, 100X on one of them, you do like 10 or so, and probably a lot of them aren't going to pan out. Like that's just the reality. But you bet on people, and I really feel confident in my network and the people I'm betting on. It's more about the people than the actual deal. And I'm not. It's sort of like it's like staking. It's almost like understanding that hey, this money may not be coming back, and you got to be okay with that, right? If you're just like expecting every investment you ever make is just going to 5, 10x, it's just not the case. And I'll see, in 2 to 5 years, kind of find out maybe it's something I have a knack for and I'll do more of, or maybe I'm just out on all investments. So it's TBD because it's all, Stake Kings is one that's, it was more, I got equity. So wasn't like investing per se, but that's one that I'm really curious about how it's going to pan out and if it's going to get bought or how it'll do. But this is now, 5 years and it's a little more like, it's kind of coming to that point where it's like going to see is all right, like it's going better, it's generating revenue, but is it going to get acquired? Could there be a big cash out? I don't know. And I think so, but it's just tricky, right? You don't know because it's like, I haven't done it. I'm not at a point where I've hit like a cash out on one of these deals. And you see, and I know Helmuth and some of these other guys and that are a little bit older, they've done investments. Like a lot of these guys or, Bill Perkins, other friends that are older, they've hit like deals for like pretty big ROIs. And I know it's possible, but at the same time, I know a lot of them don't work out. And, I think that it's variance too, right? There's going to be some, like even now it's like certain businesses are getting super affected that maybe even could really affect them or, or not. And it just like, just kind of interesting. And there's no guarantees. That's a big thing to understand in anything.
It's like surviving an MTT. Like there's going to be ups and downs, and hopefully if you put in enough of the volume and you're making decisions in a really well-informed way, and one of them's going to hit,
hopefully
right?
You don't get belted. Hopefully you got a little, some chips left, and sometimes you have to top up or rebuy, but it's a process. So those are some of the other ones. I have another one called Recover 180. Actually, drinking right here. So this is the guys who did Casamigos, Gerber, Meldman. They hit like $1 billion cash out on this tequila company. George Clooney, Randy Gerber, and Mike Meldman. And so Mike Meldman is doing this one, and got involved with them from actually, a relationship at El Dorado in Cabo. Mike has a place there and go there a bunch, and met them and became friends with them, and then ended up getting him this. So, again, the energy drinks are tough, right? Or it's not an energy drink. It's like electrolyte hydration, sort of competes with Gatorade, less sugar. But it's like I would never invest or be involved if I didn't believe that they are going to deliver. Like, they know distribution, they have the contacts, they have the networks, they're going to do well, right? Like, likely is it still might not work, like vitamin water and these things, they don't all work. These drinks are hard. They're very hard business to break into, but again, betting on the people. That's what I try to do.
How did you and Helmuth kind of hook up to get together in some of these investments? Was it just a relationship you guys had developed?
Yeah, I mean, Phil and I have known each other a long time. We've become pretty close over the last few years, and I think I see a lot of similarities, and like he's very networked. He's really like a grinder. He really goes out. He's doing charity events. He's going everywhere. He's finding equity pieces and deals, and I respect that a lot, and I see how hard he works and how he is. So I think we both kind of at some point realized when we were talking that we both have interesting opportunities, investments, and a mixture of these are that I brought to him, and then now he brings to me. I mean, we literally there's like 3 or 4 on the table too that are like I've sort of said, hey, this is good. I'm looking at this, and he'll say, I'm looking at that. What do you think about this? So it's like we're kind of we just kind of bounce stuff off each other and just end up having a lot of crossover, and that's cool. Sort of how it works at this point.
That's cool. And then to reiterate, it's jeffgrosspoker.com/investments. You can see everything Jeff's got his hands into. And then also there's jeffgrosspoker.com/affiliation, right? Which looks like the companies you work for with affiliate deals, which is a pretty darn big page.
Either, or sponsored by or do stuff. Obviously Party Poker, that's my biggest, and that I rep them and play and do their stuff. And that's where I play online. But yeah, it's good and keep busy. And a lot of these other companies I like and do stuff with or promote, and they're just products that I believe in or think are cool. And that's pretty much that's the lot. Those are the stuff. We're gonna have
to start an affiliate program at Faded Spade and call you up.
You don't have one yet? What's going on? I thought that was the purpose of the thing. Aren't we
it's very loose. We're fortunate where we have partnerships with a lot of companies that don't ask for anything in return because they believe in the brand, and we cross promote their brand, and that's fortunate. But I think
I believe in it as well. I believe in cheddar cheese, though. Send me some decks and let's get it out there, man. I got a great home game. I'd love to use them.
The Poker Flow Show, the Twitch streaming featuring. Well, I don't know if we could do that, but Jeff Gross playing with Faded Spade cards at some point. We'll make. Do
you have the bridge size?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You gotta send me. You gotta send me a thing. I'll send you pictures of my. I actually just got my office finished in Miami. Like it was 85% done, but really like finishing touches. It's nice, man. We got to get a couple shots with the cards on the table in the background. It's a good spot. So if you guys if you're ever in Miami and I'm in town, then come by and we'll check it out and. We could play a home game with some Faded Spade cards for sure.
I'll drive down. I'm a 4-hour drive away, so we'll have some fun.
Which part of Florida are you in?
I'm in just north of Orlando. I'm in Longwood. So
I'm not sure when I'll be back to Florida. It could be a while, but I will. I'm in the area, so not far. Hard Rock, the new guitar there, beautiful. It's a great spot. I don't know if you've been there yet, but it's very.
I'm never saying no to a trip to Miami, so just let me know.
There you go.
I love Miami. I always said that Miami was the one place I could never live as a married man because the women there are just too damn beautiful.
Vegas is in that same.
You live in Vegas.
Come on,
you live in Vegas. Come on.
Oh God, it's not even close.
It's way different. You're right. The Latins, right? The Latin vibe. It's different. It's not like the fake.
I'll tell this funny story real quick. The wife and I were with a bunch of friends and everything, and everybody like the question came up in some stupid game we're playing, like, what's your biggest weakness? You're supposed to put like chocolate or poker or gambling or whatever, everybody. And like it came to me, and my wife is Portuguese, but she's not Latin, but definitely has a different vibe to her. And somebody came to me and said, so Sean, what would you say your biggest weakness was? And I incorrectly put Latin women. And my wife, just looked.
Now, anytime any kind of like light brown skin or light like Latin looking, it's just like she's on high alert.
Yeah, you're done.
Game over.
That wasn't your best for sure.
Yeah, missed deal.
Take back.
Click back. All right. Well, look, I want to be cognizant of time here as we kind of cross the hour threshold. But Jeff, this has been great, man. I mean, just hearing your story, not just the poker story, right? But how you've kind of built your personal brand, the work it takes to put on a lot of your streams, the work it takes to work with affiliates, the process you go through from a decision-making standpoint, and advice you have for people who are getting more into the business world and trying to either develop companies or invest in companies that you think are purposeful and going to be profitable. I think this is a phenomenal story. I'm glad we've had the chance to tell it, man. I'm glad you've had, the platform to tell it in this way. I always like to kind of round these out with just, if you had, with two kind of questions. One is, and I'll pose it specific to what we've talked about. If you had any piece of advice for anybody listening or watching this right now, Sean loves when I say both listening and watching, and I do it because you can find us on most major audio platforms plus YouTube. But if you had advice for anybody that is trying to build a personal brand, that is trying to achieve any type of vision for their life, what would that foundational piece of advice be?
It would be just do it. Start today. If you want to stream on Twitch and you have a computer, watch a video on it. Go to YouTube, check it out. You need to download OBS or Streamlabs OBS. You could do it without, like with a bad microphone. You could do it without the camera built in your thing and go live and just go live, try it, mess up. Cause I look back to like the beginning streams I had, and I mean, my stuff, I've changed my logo, I've changed my design, my graphics, the style, whatever. But like those first streams were the hardest. Cause I was kind of at a point where I was like sort of doing stuff in poker already. I was like, even known in a way. And I was just kind of like, it's going to be weird. Like no one's going to watch. It's going to be funny. Like I'm sitting at a camera talking to nobody, playing poker, like whatever. So I just like looking back at just going for it. Like if you just start, no one's going to remember or look back at your first streams, or even if, they won't even be there, or you can, you can save it and have it VODs or whatever. But like the point is, like people aren't watching. They're not, if they go to my Twitch channel, you're not scrolling back to my earliest streams. Like it doesn't even matter. And it's just different. And it's like kind of fun anyway to like see the optimization of stuff. So really just go for it and realize that all the other stuff will come. But if you're playing online poker and you like people and you like talking, that it's like kind of a free roll not to throw up a couple affiliate deals. It's not hard, right? You can be an affiliate for some of these sites, be an affiliate for a different brand, or reach out to someone and like you generate some revenue. Even if it's super small, it still adds up, and it's not that much extra work to sort of get that implemented. So that would be my advice. Just start. Don't worry about how it looks. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. It's like having a baby. If you wait till like, this is coming up, or I'm going to have this next year, like, I don't want to do this right now, it's never going to happen. You're just never going to have a baby because like, it's never a good time, really. Like, it's just always going to be a struggle, and you just kind of got to go for it.
I love it. And that echoes a lot of the advice that we've heard in different ways from a lot of our guests, where it's like, you just got to take a step. You just got to create action and get going and not care what anybody thinks and just go for it. I love it. And then people either love or hate this question, Jeff, but throughout this whole journey of yours, from the time you graduated on the online streets and from the time of where you're at now, what is like one of the most important things you've learned about yourself during this journey?
I would say one of the most important things, kind of learning that you gotta understand that you gotta be honest about your game and where you're at. Like looking back at seeing even myself like a year ago, 5 years ago, 7, 10 years ago, understanding that I wasn't, that I need to learn that I'm a student of the game, that I'm like the guys, and being honest about your game, right? Like knowing that the guys at the very, very top or certain levels are miles ahead or light years ahead or doing things that you don't know. And it's just important to be cognizant of what your ability is and where you should be playing and what you're doing, and be realistic about it, right? And realize that there is stuff you can do to get better. So I would say, being honest about your game, being honest about what you can improve on, where you struggle, where you have weaknesses, and not just want to be like, oh, I'm the best, or I'm one of the top players in the world, because I think that's dangerous when you start coming from a place of cocky or too confident, and just realize that you got to understand what you're good at and understand what you need to work on, and be realistic about what your game is and what you're doing, and also who you're playing with, right? Like if you're the 10th, say it's again, you're 10th best player in the world playing with the other 9, it's not a good game. You could be the 2000th best player in the world playing with the 10,000 plus guys, and that's a good game for you. So I think that's important. Like even like me, I stream high stakes tournaments. I know I'm playing with the best in the world when I'm streaming on Twitch, like most of them, right? Like there's some guys that are splashing around or whatever, but like I know I'm a good tournament player, but I know that like I'm not like crushing these fields. Like I understand that there's guys that are playing perfectly in every spot that I'm not. So yeah, you got to be realistic what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and what you're also with tables, for example. Like when I play 10 tables or 8 tables, I think I'm kind of lost and I'm not playing well. When I play 2 to 3, 4, I think I'm playing really well and results are going to be better. So it's like playing a tournament live. If you're going to be on your phone and doing your business deals and all the other stuff, you have to accept that you're not at your best. The guy that's on Adderall in the Matrix that didn't miss a hand, he sees if you blink, versus you who may not even, you might not have caught the action on 3 of the last 5 hands. So be aware of what you're doing. I think that's the important part. We're all not perfect, or we're all going to have different things we're accomplishing or aiming for, but be realistic with what you're doing. And that's something I work with Elliot Rowe and done a lot of stuff with him. And, I've had a lot better results just in general since working with him. But I actually had my first 2 losing years of my career in tournaments at the World Series, like 2017 and 18, or 17 and 18. And then I started thinking about why or what happened or whatever. I was going to the tournaments 3-4 hours late. I had started my YouTube videos in the summer of 17. And guess what? It got me a lot of benefit and added stuff, but I'm not focused as much. I'm missing stuff. I'm late to tournaments. I'm coming in playing 10, 20, 30 blind poker. And, maybe I'm running bad, but it's like, I'm not there at noon. I'm not there at start of the hands. I'm not picking up easy money. I'm not building stacks. And it's a different thing. So as long as you accept that and you're honest about what you're doing and what you're looking to do, that's a big difference than blindly just doing stuff and like just being like, wow, what's happening? This is bad. So you need to be aware, be cognizant. And Fedor Holtz, there's a quote on my Instagram from our podcast, and he talked about that, about being aware, right? Being aware of what you're doing and stopping to think about it, because that's, I think, most people's big mistake is they're just not thinking about what they're doing and what all is going on. And it's easy to get frustrated or be unrealistic with expectations. So
I love it.
That's sort of that's how I would word that in a long way.
I love it. And Sean, I know that's important for you throughout your career growth as a leader. For me and my business, self-awareness is so important, and being honest with yourself about your strengths and your weaknesses and constantly trying to improve yourself in those areas.
And you got to see how you're showing, that I'll say this one more thing. I'll touch on choice. I haven't really talked about this in a while, but that was like the biggest learning I got from there. It was about how you're showing up. You get honest feedback on how you're showing up, because it's hard, like as a business owner, as a dad, as a father, a husband, and doing all these other things, it's really easy to sort of like the balance gets off. And there's times where, I'm not being a great dad, or I'm not being a great husband, and I'm not giving enough time. And it's like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, well, of course, like this is important. Like, hey, this right now is a critical time in the industry, for example, and there's a lot going on. It's a great time, you stream and get all these other things, but it's easy to neglect other areas or get lost, or, you have business commitments, but now you're, I'm doing podcasting, I'm doing this, and now this area suffers. So if you're just like blindly doing one thing and not even like watering and understanding the others, it's easy to get lost. If you communicate and you have a vision and you share stuff, then it becomes less stressful, and maybe like you can maintain or not have fires, that are like, that get out of hand in areas. If you're at least like cognizant and aware and communicating to all the different areas around you, because it can get overwhelming.
How do you find balance through that with your family? Because I'm like, I've got a family, 2 kids, house, business, this, that. How do you find balance when you're trying to achieve that balance through everything?
I'm trying every day. I mean, it's hard, it's like, it's hard because it's like I said, at some point, like, you could do an extra call always. You could do an extra email. you can do an extra podcast, you know? And it's like at some point, you know, it's like I was talking about Bill Perkins really, this is something I understand and know, but how he worded it was so powerful. It's like different periods die. How old are your kids?
8 and 6, 8-year-old daughter, 6-year-old son.
Yeah. You don't get your 1-year-old daughter or son back. You don't get your 3-year-old daughter or son back, you know? Right. So it's like, even now it's like, yeah, I have an 11-month-old son. Every day it's great and different and new. And some days I'm spending hours at a time with them and whatever. Some days I'm seeing them for 5-minute pockets or, you know, before bed. And it's like, okay, like, yeah, that's okay sometimes, but really what is more important in these spots? And it's tricky when you find something you're passionate and love to do as well, because I think, you know, that you see guys like, you know, Kobe Bryant unfortunately passed away, or you know, had the tragic accident, LeBron James, Ronaldo, these kind of guys, they're like Michael Phelps, they're obsessed. They're like, when they're to be at that level or to do something at that type of intensity, it's just like, it's very unrealistic to think that the other areas of your life are going to be also like that. Right. So it's like, you got to really understand when you are doing stuff that you got to look at what the juice and the squeeze is, because there are certain points of diminishing returns as well. So like for streaming, or, you know, a lot of guys burn out streaming. You know, you saw Somerville had a phase of that, Tonka, Blacks at times, like all of us, myself too. It's tough. Like you're streaming 10, 12 hours a day, every day. Like it's on a computer screen, you're going through bad beats, rough spells, all this different stuff. Like it's easy to get kind of in a warp or a thing. So I think that's like, it's a constant balancing act, and that's easier said than done. And there's not really a right answer, but it is a formula, and there's only so much time. Maybe it's like you find a way to sleep an hour less a night, 2 hours. Like at some point there's a pie, and you also got to be rested. You don't want to be crazy. And it's like, it's not easy, because like the right answer, it's really hard, right?
It's different for everybody.
You spend 1 hour with your son, or you spend 2? Do you spend an hour working out, and that, or do you sleep more and maybe your quality's better and you have help with your kids, or do you just do it all and then you're tired? And, you know, it's just like, there's not a right or wrong, but you have to try to figure it out and make adjustments along the way. And I think that's like the rat race, or you get through these periods of time where you can be very, you can get lost, and people get and I think we've all been there, where we can look back and be like, wow, what just happened for that 2-week period or 1-week period, or man, I really wasn't showing up in this way, or vice versa. So yeah, I think that's balance is key. It's hard, and do your best. You got to think about it.
That's it. Just trying to find it and putting the intentional effort to trying to find it, I think, is half the battle. So yeah. I appreciate the transparency, man. This has been phenomenal. Sean, Poker Boss, as we wrap this thing up, any words from you? Any thoughts on this whole discussion?
So, yeah, this was definitely one of our best. This was awesome. Jeff, thanks for coming and tell everybody your side of the story. A little bit different than I actually listen to your podcast, stuff like that. I'm going to name drop like Jeff does for a little bit. My name drop is Jeff Gross, though. So, no, this was really cool. And I actually took a lot of notes here and stuff like that. And, I'm definitely, you know, not plugging your stuff, but I'm going to check it out some more and follow your journey. And thanks for following our podcast and stuff like that and getting the word out. And I can't wait to get to Miami, play a little bit of home game. And, you know, Tom always loves this part. I always have my little special thing. He's already laughing, but they're always unique to our guests. So this is the one I made today. It says gross win 5 million, net win equals life. That is you, buddy.
That's high quality Poker Boss content right there.
These are great.
I love it.
Come on. I mean,
I love it.
That's, you know, and then I usually throw it off the screen like that. So, no, this was super awesome. You know, before you even got on, Tom was asking me how long we knew each other. And I think we've known each other for about 5 years now. You know, we've always had awesome interactions and stuff like that. And, you know, I really appreciate what you've done for the poker world and stuff like that. And yeah, keep grinding, man. Keep doing your thing. You're really exciting to watch. And yeah, you got a fan in me for sure. So
well, I appreciate it. And I think that's also, again, it's about being realistic too. It's like understanding that there's only so much time. Like I wish I would study a little more, do some of the more of the stuff. And it's also, I think that in poker now, it's become pretty obvious that people like the best players or the GTO and these type of guys, they understand. I think they respect a little more the streamers and the different type of stuff. Cause there was like a period of time where Jamie Staples, Kevin Martin in particular, got a lot of slack for being signed by poker stars at that year, like maybe 16 or 17 when he was signing. People were like, oh, that's a joke. He's playing $2, $10 tournaments. It's a whatever, but like really that's what, again, where the market and what's going on. And without Kevin Martin, who now came to party and then actually gave up, he stopped streaming and took, he's doing other ventures, and actually another investment I'm on, he's like the host of it, which is coming out soon, kind of random. But the point being that without the content, without the podcast, without the YouTube and these things, it's like the poker will die. Like the games are getting harder, the solvers, the softwares, the things and whatever. So it's like guys that are putting it out and doing a lot of content, whether it's podcast, YouTube, Twitch, or anything, that's what's helping you people. I remember the first week, I'll leave you with this. The first week I started doing a 2017. It was like a 1500 WSOP event, and I had my new camera. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just filming stuff, like going. It was my first vlog ever. If you ever watch a couple minutes, it's kind of funny. Like it's like me going around to like random stores, and it's like absolute it's hopeless. But it was me doing whatever. I had a guy stop me at my table, and he came up to me. He was like, "Man, bro, that's so cool. What's going on? Like, I love that this is going on. That's awesome. You're doing it." He's like, "What's your name?" And then he's like, the reason I'm here is Doug Polk. He's like, I watch all his vlogs, his YouTube videos. He's like, that's why I'm here. I haven't played poker in 2 years. And that was like the first week I started. And that's when I realized like, wow, like this matters. Like these numbers, the reason live poker and these things, like people are watching content, and they are either coming back into the game, or they like the game, or they're watching it. I mean, I think it's so powerful, and I think people are starting to respect that. Even the guys that were once saying like, oh, these guys shouldn't be streamers, they shouldn't get paid, they get that that's like for the ecology in the game, that these things need to happen. And yeah, a guy that streams 8 hours a day on average for the year isn't going to probably be as good as a player that is like doing 8 hours a day of PO and solvers and shit. But like, at the end of the day, like, yeah, maybe they're not quite as good, or they're doing stuff differently, but like, I think that's a realization that like, okay, like, hey, they get respect and they belong in the community. And I think that's important. I mean, I'm looking right now in the Twitch directory, and there's a ton of poker streamers. I mean, there's guys anywhere from 2 viewers to 2,000. Lex's stream has been huge, and there's 24/7 content people having. It's just like guys are in there, guys are working, guys are building, and they realize a lot of them aren't going to get deals. But still, they're doing something, they're creating something, they're building engagement, viewership. They have their own little side hustles, and I think it's great.
I think that the live realm is actually coming around to that too. I can think back. I've been in the industry now for almost 20 years, and I think back even like 5-6 years ago, taking pictures in casino or video was so taboo. Security would run up to you, and there is a level of privacy that needs to be kept. And we all understand that, if someone says they don't want to be on something, we don't put them on something. But right. even some of these casinos now, there's a couple casinos in town that have built right on the felt where it says, hey, take your picture while playing blackjack and show it at hashtag whatever, all this stuff, which is really great. If you think about that in the casino world, if the casino world's coming around to that, poker is definitely further along than the casino realm. So even where I work, we work with anybody who wants to do a vlog or something like that. We set them up a little space. We put up signage that says we're filming and stuff like that. And we know that it's building engagement and that it's very important. And I like to think that I'm on the forefront of wanting these things, but I do work for a corporation that is very much taking its time because they're being careful, and I don't blame them in any way. They're letting everybody else do it, and then we kind of perfect it once other people test run these things. But I think it's really coming around, and people are really starting to say, hey, there is more of a value to this than strictly entertainment. And I think we're going to see a big jump in our world moving forward. Everything we're going through right now is going to jump certain things really far ahead. And I think, vlogging and Twitch streams, stuff like that could be a big, huge part of that.
I mean, it's also, I got to run. I know this has been great. And I do want to say it's interesting to think like if this could potentially shift or push more online poker and liquidity and different things. Cause I think like, it's kind of obvious, right? These casinos in different places, like everyone just doesn't want to lose their piece of the pie. It makes sense. But really like, times like this, it's going to not really, hopefully not ever happen again or be like this, but like still, you know, online and liquidity in these games and stuff. And now there's sports is legal across the states or federal level, and it's state by state and these type of things. Like, it's just like, it makes sense. Right. And like, why is online poker not, available? And I don't know, I heard rumors or talks, or maybe this could help or jolt it. I don't know if this actually would just like, it's not like saying overnight, they're just gonna be like, yeah, okay, it's good. And like, everyone's got online poker, and it takes a long time. It's a process getting sites and licenses and this, but yeah, it'd be great if it did expedite maybe somehow that mission.
Let's do it. And this is a great place to close our time with Jeff Gross. Check him out, jeffgrosspoker.com. You'll see everywhere he streams, everything he's into. Jeff, I want to thank you for taking even more time than we all anticipated, because I think the passion came through and the topics were great. Yeah. And it was just a phenomenal time together, built with purpose and passion. I love the positivity part of your message too. So guys, jeffgrosspoker.com. Make sure you get to know Jeff, follow his journey, and also want to make sure we throw out, get ready for the World Poker Tour Party Poker online tournament series in May. Jeff might have to come wherever the heck you're streaming and come play, because I can't do it here. And the industry is changing, but we think it's going to change for the better. Jeff, thanks again for the time. For the poker boss, Sean McCormick, for Jeff, for myself, thank you for tuning in to the Faded Spade Podcast.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it. It was fun. Thank you.